Hello everyone, this is Atomic and you are watching Cyberpunk Talk. Today we are going to talk about the most important thing in Cyberpunk 2070 and 2020, the character roles. The developers have promised to include all original Cyberpunk 2020 roles into their game, so we are going to go through all those roles and see how they fit into Cyberpunk 2077 computer role-playing game. There are 9 roles in the original pen and paper game, and they all have different skills, different abilities, and different roles to play in the world of Cyberpunk 2020 and now in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. The idea behind the roles in Cyberpunk 2020 is that they are not supposed to be just character class. They are supposed to be masks that the characters wear in front of the world. The characters not necessarily have to be good at what they are doing, but they are supposed to look good while doing it. Of course, that doesn't mean that a cyberpunk can be both good at what he's doing and look good while doing it. Because the cyberpunk game is all about that. So, let's talk about the roles. The Rocker Boy is a bard of Cyberpunk 2020 and will probably be the one in Cyberpunk 2077. The name may be lame, but he or she is a very powerful character. The Rocker Boy is an artist, a musician and a rebel. They rebel against the system, the government, the corporations, the syndicates. They use their music, their songs, their message to make the crowds follow them. Apart from the ability to control the crowd, they are also competent in many social skills and also, to some extent, in combat. They are antisocial and in many cases violent, but when it comes to violence, they usually tend to inspire it rather than use it themselves. In Cyberpunk 2077, the Rocker Boy's abilities can be used in some interesting ways, like using the crowds to distract the attention of the guards guarding some corporate complex, or in more direct approach, using the crowd as a strike force against them. This role probably will be a good all-rounder that excels in social situations. The Solo is a muscle of Cyberpunk 2020 and will be a muscle of Cyberpunk 2077. They have the ability to see the danger coming and react more quickly than any other character in game. They naturally excel in combat, but also have skill set that makes them competent in most other situations except surfing the net. They are the backbone of every cyberpunk group because they protect the group from danger and handle the violence. Of course, most other characters can handle the violence, but no one does that as good as Solo does. Apart from skills, the Solo relies heavily on cybernetic enhancements of his or her body. They usually invest heavily in enhanced reflexes, augmented senses, body armor, strength, among other things. In-game they will probably be the combat-oriented well-rounders, the jacks of all trades that can fit easily in any situation, except, as I mentioned before, the situation involving surfing the net. Because this activity is reserved for the next role, the Netrunner. The Netrunner is the most iconic role in Cyberpunk 2020. They are the archetypical cyberpunks known from books, movies, like Case from Neuromancer, like Johnny Mnemonic from Johnny Mnemonic. What makes the Netrunner unique is the interface. The interface is the ability that allows the Netrunner to access the cyberspace. That makes the Netrunner basically a wizard of cyberpunk. They usually make a living by stealing classified corporate data and selling them to the highest bidder. But that doesn't mean that the Netrunner only operates in the cyberspace. Similar to Solo, they are skilled and competent in many other areas like combat or social skills. That makes them probably the most versatile and all-rounded characters in Cyberpunk 2020 and will probably make them so in Cyberpunk 2077. And with their wide range of expertise and competence, they will probably be the most interesting character to play in Cyberpunk 2077. While the Netrunner is a wizard in cyberspace and Solo is a wizard with guns and rifles, the Techie is a wizard with mechanical and electronic things. They design, they build, they repair, they dismantle, they rebuild the stuff. The equipment that all Cyberpunk needs, like weapons, like cybernetics for Netrunners, like cybernetics for Solos, and many other things. As they are the technical wizard, they live in their small world of robots, drones, and tools, so they are not as much competent in many other things as other characters are. But on the other hand, they don't need to, because they can build a robot or drone that can do that for them. Not all techies deal with robots and machines, some of them deal with people. They are called the medtechs, and they are illegal street doctors that implant cybernetics and patch the Solos wounds. The media are the people who live for the news. They risk their life to get where the news is and to bring that news to the world. What makes them unique is the credibility. Credibility is the ability of the media to make people believe in what they are saying. The media are the first and probably the only line of the society's defense against corporate corruption and government indifference. Although the media don't use guns, robots or cyberspace in their job, they are very powerful characters. Because the news is their weapon, and the news can bring down governments and corporations and criminal syndicates alike. They are not as all-rounded as Solos or Netrunners, but they are skilled and competent enough to get by in the harsh world of Cyberpunk 2020. As for Cyberpunk 2077, there should probably be a lot of quests that involve investigations, so the media would make themselves useful. The corporate is probably the most misunderstood character role in Cyberpunk 2020, and has the potential to be the most interesting character role in Cyberpunk 2077. What many people get wrong about them is that they are not the businessmen. They don't own the business, they don't own the companies, they don't own the grocery stores or cyber cafe. They belong to the companies, they are owned by the corporations, they are their operatives, their agents. In their work, whatever it is, they have access to their company's resources. That is the money, that is the guns, that is the vehicles, that is the people who use them. That makes the corporate the most versatile character in Cyberpunk 2020. What they may lack in skills, they more than compensate with their resource ability. Solos have their guns, Netrunners have their decks, but the corporate have their corporation behind their backs. The role of a cop in Cyberpunk 2020 may seem out of place. It is because most other roles like Netrunners, Solos and Fixers, they are basically criminals. And in most cases the individuals representing those roles stand on the opposite sides of the law. The cop's job in Cyberpunk 2020 is similar to cop's job today. It is to protect the law. And in most cases the job of regular cyberpunk is to break it. So the role of cop is rather a standalone role, simply because the cop may find it difficult to work with criminals. But nevertheless, the cop is a very interesting role. They are skilled in a wide range of skills and abilities, and their special ability is the authority. The authority is an ability that allows the cop to project the power of the law upon the individuals. As long as the cop represents the official law enforcement agency, they have easier time persuading or intimidating almost any individual. And if troubled, the cops can expect the full support of the police force in their city. The cops are skilled in almost every area of expertise, which makes them a good candidate for a player character in Cyberpunk 2077. Fixers are gangsters, hitmen, smugglers, drug dealers and information brokers. They are the people to go if you have business in the street. They deal with info, hardware, weapons, drugs, contacts and all sorts of things. They know the street and they get things done. Their strength lies in the mixture of social and combat skills as well as their street deal ability. The street deal ability allows the fixer to locate things, people, contacts, info, and to deal with others like them in the street. Most fixers have contacts with the police, the corporations, or the gangs, or all of them at once, which makes them the essential part of every cyberpunk group. Usually the fixers avoid combat or violent situations, but there are individuals who don't. When fixers choose violence, they are usually well prepared because of their contacts and access to hardware and state-of-the-art weaponry and cybernetics. Those features make Fixer a great candidate for a PC character in Cyberpunk 2077. Someone living in the borderline between corporation, street and the law enforcement. The Nomad is someone who by choice or circumstances lives outside of the social structure of the world of Cyberpunk 2020. The Nomads used to be farmers, soldiers or homeless people who banded together and hit the road between Cyberpunk 2020's megacities. They live, work and travel in great caravans made of jerry-rigged motorcycles, trucks and pickups. They work for other nomad groups or corporations or local government, but they don't stay too long in one place, nor they are welcome to. They excel at combat, vehicle or mechanical skills, but they are not as good as solos or techies. But their strength lies in numbers, because the nomad is never alone. There is always the family, armed with weapons, cybernetics and vehicles, ready to help them in need. So they have weapons, cybernetics, vehicles and a group of family that always stand behind them. Thank you very much for watching, and what's your favorite Cyberpunk 2020 role and which role would you like to play in Cyberpunk 2077? You were watching Atomic's Cyberpunk Talk.